I think the one thing that we're really good at is, just like against the grain type of vibe versus the rinsed and repeated or the copy and pasted from Pinterest, or it's like, we've all seen that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like and people naturally come to us as planners because we can design. Right?
Absolutely.
Period. They see what's out there, but they want the next level, or they want the switch up, or they want that, that one golden nugget of a thought or a design idea where it's like, oh my God, yes. Like, give me that.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Special Event Rentals podcast. I am sitting here with the bold and bright Joelle, CEO of Joy by Joelle. Welcome.
Sure. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Welcome.
This is so much fun.
I want to say welcome back because you're always here.
It's not even
home.
like a welcome back. It's like, welcome home. I feel like I live here. Cam will say to me like, oh, what are you doing today? Just going home. What do you mean? I'm like, you're going to SER, aren't you? Yeah. Going to hang out with my homies.
It's a fun place for you. I feel like this is like everything you want and need when designing a wedding.
It's like my mini playground.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's where you get to come and like do all the stuff and things that everything looks sexy in the photos, but nobody sees the behind the scenes.
Well, we are thrilled. Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to have you. I am so curious about all aspects of your life. And I want to dive into each aspect that I have at the top of my head today and ask you tough questions, easy questions, and I want to just spill the tea. Tough questions.
Go easy on me here. Go easy. Come on.
I'll try.
Light us up.
You go easy on me. I'm sitting here really nervous. So go easy on me.
Caitlin's got all these questions for me, but what she doesn't know is I have questions for her at the end of this. So stay tuned.
So hopefully I answer them correctly.
She's thrilled about it.
All right, let's dive in. I kind of want to start off this with, how did you get involved in the industry, and how did Joy by Joelle come to be?
Yeah. So it was never like a simple moment where I decided to jump into the planning portion. I mean, it was progressive, but I think for me, and I feel like I talk about this like a broken record, but for me, when you're at an event, like usually people are watching whoever's on stage, whoever's performing, what, whereas for me, I'm looking up and around, like I'm looking at everything else versus actually what's on stage sometimes, which sounds really peculiar, but like I'm looking at the AV, the pyro, thinking about the logistics. Like I'm thinking about right now during the playoffs with Madison Square Garden Stadium, like the changes that happen behind the scenes that we don't always see from what are they called when you go to a concert? Like an attendee?
Yep.
Yeah.
Attendee, yes.
So that's kind of how my brain works, like right off the top. So I went and worked for Big Valley Jamboree, was a box office supervisor for a bit. I worked for the Edmonton Marathon as one of their volunteer coordinators. So I was like within like sports, and then I'm forgetting what it's called, music festivals, right? So I did that for 2 individual summers, and then I had applied for a job with a planner, and I didn't get it, which was fine, but she had actually referred me to the local floral shop that we all know and love, Fabulosity. And she's like, why don't you go try working there? And I was like, yeah, okay. So without even intentionally doing it, I was taking this like route around where I, now am, right? And so working with Fab, like these people walk into her studio and in a matter of 2 hours, like it's done. They've got everything figured out. They are literally beaming about, the decor and the design, and they're just like, their tires are so pumped. Yeah.
Yes,
right. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, I want that. I want to be a part of whatever that magic is. Naturally, I'm slightly OCD, just a little bit. So it really bodes well in this industry.
Doesn't it ever, though? You can apply yourself. You have OCD.
Oh,
the event
God.
industry.
Blessing and a curse. And so, watching this all go down, and it was just like, I want more of that. And not to get really like on the heartstrings, but I'm fortunate enough to have parents who have been married for a very long time. Grandparents were married for what would have been 64 years, I think, this year. And the cliche is you love love.
Absolutely.
You know, do I do weddings? Yes. Do we also do corporate? Yes. But I think, you know, just being able to share in everybody's day for 6 months of the year, every single weekend, sometimes doubles and triple times every single weekend. Like, that's so cool. Like, how cool is that?
It's
right.
It really like plays on your heartstrings.
Yeah.
And it makes you excited and you feel, and
100%.
I think that's what kind of sets you apart is I feel when people are going to you for whatever service you are going to offer them, whether it's a brainstorming session, full planning, or a day of coordinator, they don't just get a planner.
Yeah.
They do get that friend side, that person that is their cheerleader, the person that is excited for them.
Yes.
And I love that about your brand.
Yeah.
And I think that also matches everything else your brand stands for.
Yeah.
Why it's so bright and beautiful
100%.
and bold and punchy.
It's a lot sometimes. Some people like jump on our website and they're like, ooh, no, this is too much. And I'm like, you're not my client. That's okay.
Absolutely.
That's all good. I'm not for everybody. Well aware of it and totally cool with it. Right. I think that's also something that I really pride myself on is I'm not for everybody. So the people who are meant for me run through my door, which is so great. Like the brand is like, we are so outgoing. We're in it with you just as much as you are yourself, if not maybe a little bit more. Right. And so for me, you know, like the one client we had last year, she like put it so perfectly. She's like, everybody else just seems so vanilla. And that's nothing against everybody else.
No.
Like that's their brand and people go to them for that reason in the same way that they do for us. Right. But she stumbled upon the website and she was just like, it just felt good. And it like just such a simple such a simple sentence, but it just resonated with me and it was just like one of those feel good moments where you're like, yeah, you're my people. Yeah. Please sit.
So the connection really does matter between planner and couple.
Totally.
Like that, I think the
We're
bond.
spending 2 years together sometimes.
Isn't that crazy?
Banana. Like, can you,
I feel like even couples don't even realize that until you mention it to them. It's like, no, we've been ride or dies here for 1.5 years, 2 years now.
Like and like obviously there's different services and we spend different amounts of times with different clients, right? So our full plan clients were, I think there was a year where I was with a couple. It was during COVID. I think it was almost just under 4 years. Wow. Like by the time all was like from start to finish, hired in 2019, COVID hit, and then we didn't. I think it was like 20. I can't remember. It's all a blur naturally. But like that in and of itself, the amount of time that we spend with our clients, like I want to be your true buddy.
Yeah.
Be my mate, be my pal, be my bestie, be whatever you are. That's that's the jumping point. And when we're introduced to couples or when they walk into our door, it's like we also Who is it? Can you take the call? No, who is it? Is it Brent?
Me and Joelle have been friends for how long now, Joelle? She knows my husband. I thought I turned my phone on silent. I am blushing now, embarrassed. So
just a little flush of
right back at it. What were you saying?
I don't even remember.
We were talking about connections between couple and planner.
Yeah, like I think it's just so important that there's that connection where I was going with it. Not only do they want to hire us, but like we also need to make sure we want to work with them. Like for as silly and as I could actually throw arrogant maybe or a little bit overly confident, but I always want to make sure that the people that we're meeting with, like I also want to work with you. Right? We haven't had it yet where it's like hard pass. Close calls. We'll say that. There's been like some personality mismatches, and that's a learning curve, right? But I think it's just important to make sure that like we're homies.
Yeah.
We're going to be spending a lot of time together.
Totally. And do you feel, from what I see, I mean, your presence on Instagram is I think also a huge part of your brand, isn't it?
100%.
I would say that is the consistency and
Yeah.
people listen in and follow you. And when they don't see you on the gram, it's like, well, where is she? What is she doing? Do you know, everyone is very involved.
Yeah.
And I think that also for the couples that do come to you, I think that they can relate to that.
Yeah.
They can relate to your silliness or, you know,
Yes.
your styling tips and tricks and your offices. They can
Yes.
all relate to that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they feel a sense of comfort with you,
Yeah.
which is going into my next thing. I think that your couples push boundaries.
Yeah.
You do get your couples to try and think outside the box.
Yes.
Don't be the norm. But if you want to be the norm, I'm going to embrace
Totally
that.
cool.
Absolutely cool.
Yeah.
But the weddings you have such a personality to them.
Yeah.
They are colorful. They're
They're
bright.
so cool.
They're beautiful. And just like the moments I see on your stories, there's so many special moments. It's
Yeah.
not just about what it looks like. I think that
Totally.
you create this whole experience for the couple throughout the whole day that is just really special to them. It might not be, I mean, yes, overall, it's a great, beautiful wedding and logistics are great. But
Yeah.
I think that's something that you do well with is it's a story that the couple is never going to forget.
100%, as it should.
Right?
I mean, I think the one thing that we're really good at is, just like against the grain type of vibe versus the rinsed and repeated or the copy and pasted from Pinterest, or it's like, we've all seen that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like and people naturally come to us as planners because we can design. Right?
Absolutely.
Period. They see what's out there, but they want the next level, or they want the switch up, or they want that, you know, that one golden nugget of a thought or a design idea where it's like, oh my God, yes. Like, give me that. Right? Period. Go.
Sorry.
No,
I didn't
you're
make
good.
that, but I'm just like so excited about this topic because like you give them confidence
Yeah.
to do that. Like you come in
Yeah.
here with your clients and they might have like an ivory linen and you're just like
Yep.
brainstorming every way to like bring that personality out of them that you've known for a couple months until you get in here. So I think that is pretty cool. I think
Yeah.
some couples are very sometimes afraid to take risks or
So
go against the
scared.
norm because, you know, a purple napkin is not what the last 8 weddings they went to had.
Or it's not what you often see.
Yeah.
Like, period. And we were literally talking with Kaitlyn just before this, where we're talking about how we were talking about home decor and wallpaper, and like, oh my God, I put wallpaper up recently in my house, and Carolyn's like, oh my God, the wallpaper, like, that's amazing. I'm like, yes. But people are so nervous to try, right? And I think that's where they can find comfort with us, is it's like, we're comfortable with going outside the box. We're comfortable with going up against the grain because that's different. That's what gives you the result. It gives you the variation. It gives your guests a different experience, right? Like even just when you think about timelines, like switching things up on their head a bit just to give a different experience, period. That's why they're coming to us. They want something different. They just want something different, you know?
And I feel like you're the perfect person to help them do that. As she laughs,
Was
she
it the
knows.
pink hair?
It's the pink hair. It is the hot pink rompers. It is the emerald rompers. It is everything
of it.
about you.
All of it.
Absolutely.
It's a vibe.
Absolutely. Kind of, I want to touch base on Instagram. I have
Yeah.
a couple questions about that.
Go.
And do you, I mean,
I love Insta.
okay. Yeah. And does it bring you
love
joy
it.
to like blog your life and
Yeah.
your life experiences? And
Yeah.
it does.
It
It fuels you.
This is like, there's always some, I don't know if it's necessarily controversy, that would be the right word, but like some people are really nervous to share,
Yeah.
right, about their personal lives. Like when you're watching my stories, like sometimes you're seeing Cam, my husband, sometimes you're seeing Reese, sometimes you're seeing literally what we were just talking about. Sometimes you're, or the office refresh that I just did. I love to play and show what I'm also doing at home, because I think that's also kind of flopping back to that initial conversation we were having about like the clients being able to connect with me. Like they're seeing how I am offsite. But the beautiful part about us is like who you get at home is like the same person that you see on site. I'm not any different. I'm the same girl in the backwards hat out in the backyard digging in my bikinis, let's say, as I am the same girl in a backwards hat doing setup. Like it's the same. And so I love being able to share that because people really connect to that. They're curious. They want to see the behind the scenes. Like, what are you doing? What did you have for breakfast? What kind of coffee do you drink? What's that lip gloss? Where'd you get your wallpaper?
I feel like I would be so overwhelmed with that, but I love that fuels you. And that is such a part of, I mean, I think you too, Joelle, that is a part of Joelle, but it's also a part of the brand. And it kind of just flows harmlessly and
totally.
It combines all.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I please let the record state, like, social can be exhausting. Completely. Like, I need to make that known because I also go through those ebbs and flows of like, oh my God, I can't wait to share. Like, I'm so excited. Because I'm passionate. I'm excited. I'm all the things. But then there's those moments too where I'm like, oh, sweet Lord, like, turn this off. I do not want, like, I just don't want anything about it. So like, there's that roller coaster. There's that balance with it. Like, and it gets tricky sometimes because, I mean, we could go off about this all day long, but I think it's just fun to be able to share what's going on behind the scenes as well as the behind the scenes of our weddings and events so that they're seeing not just the end result in a photo. Right? When we do the installs with you guys with SER. Can I say SER?
You can say
I can say it. Okay.
The owner really likes, though, when we say special event rentals.
Neil, this is me saying special event rentals.
So appreciate that.
You're welcome. Like the behind the scenes of when we're on site with you guys and you're unloading the trucks and we're uncovering the chairs and we're putting all the things out. Like, people love to see how it all comes together. So I think it's really important to share that because not everybody does. Yeah. And they actually learn a lot about what we do from a planner's and a rental company's perspective, the workload and how much work it takes. Because it all goes up in a day and it all comes down in a day. Like, that's also wild.
It's
like, when you think about that, you're
crazy. It is crazy. One thing I want to say about the Instagram stories, though, I know when you're going through, at least for me, when you're going through all of the setup, everything leading up, and then you leave us hanging for a couple days, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, where, Joelle, I want to see what the end result was. Hello. So I'm like checking out, still old stories. Anyways, so it's effective. People want to see 100%. It. You are saying.
I bait them.
Yeah.
Like, I dangle the carrot in front of their face. I'm like, you're not gonna believe. Then 3 days later, I show it.
True. You create. They're almost along with the ride to you, and I think that goes back to what I was saying before. People, before they hire you, can relate to you. So the people that are wanting Joelle, they already know you. Yeah. They're already comfortable. So when 100%. They go into that meeting, it's just easy. Yeah, it's super easy. And no other planner in Edmonton has, I would say, a presence like you do.
Well, thank you.
They do have a presence, but
for
again,
sure.
what you're saying is everyone has their own different brands. But
I feel like I share more. And I think they would agree with me in saying that too, right? Absolutely. Like, you just see a lot more of me, and maybe you'll enjoy that, maybe you don't. That's how we are.
Enough about Joelle.
Please. Let's move on.
Let's get this going. I want to talk about one specific event that I worked with you on, and which I think this is a great one to talk about. There is
juicy.
It is. It is juicy.
It's so good.
But I also think it was a pivotal moment in your career.
Yes.
Let's talk about the white and gold wedding.
The all white
wedding.
Pause for him.
All white wedding. No color. This was a bit challenging.
That was insane. And it's so funny because that wedding still comes up to this day. Mm-hmm. The industry was okay, so here, we'll just go there.
Yeah, let's go.
So the all white and gold wedding, I remember I finished a wedding on the Saturday. Setup started on the following Sunday for the wedding to take place the next Saturday. Did you follow that? Like, we were doing a 6-day install. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing I don't remember. Do you remember the size of that clearspan that we did? What was it?
18 by 35 meter clearspan.
Neil, how proud are you right now?
Which we're going to get into. But there was this, before we get, we visualize what the decor was, the scope of work, Joelle, was crazy. This was on someone's
Private
family property,
Yeah.
A shop on concrete, and that's where they wanted to have the wedding.
Yeah.
So
originally we had started at an airport or at the Renaissance Hotel. And then the conversation was going like, well, we want to do this and we want to change that. And somehow I've created this reputation of like, I don't want to call it a queen because that just feels icky, but like I was a rock star at 10, or I am a rock star at 10 weddings. That's like my bread and butter. I love doing them. They're just like near and dear to my heart. Don't really know why, because they're the most challenging wedding out there.
But I think that's what you started off this by saying Madison Square Garden.
Yes, the logistics.
The logistics of a tent wedding is, I mean, it's not the scale of that, but it is very much a logistic.
100%. Nightmare
process.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Nightmare can be like, let's be real. It can be a nightmare.
You have to own a golf cart.
Yep.
Or you're walking everywhere. Don't forget that one, couples.
Hire someone to be your foot massager at the end of your day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where were we going to go? So we were talking about the tents. Yeah, so this was over a $250,000 wedding. Like, it was massive. I started my company in 2015, 2014. I can't remember. And this would have been in 2019. So I'm pretty new to this whole gig, right? Like, I'm only 3 or 4 years.
Those
I was
days.
just a baby.
You were a baby.
I was just a baby. And like, still had weddings under my belt, but nothing to this scale. I had done tented weddings, I had done decor, I had done design, but just nothing on that scale. And that wedding made me a planner because of the stories we're about to tell you, which are just like, I can't even make this shit up when it comes to what happened. So anyway, so sheer scope. So it was 18, what was it? 18 by 40? 35 clearspan. Clearspans are done in meters. I don't even know what math is way too hard.
I think
today,
it's like a 40 by 80,
I want to say
40 by 80.
No, I was going to say bigger, 60 by 100.
Ryerson, you're sitting over there. Can you Google what 18 meters is in feet? Thank you.
By Google, she means
really know this.
By Google, she means calculator, but the same.
I just type it into Google.
You what?
60 feet.
60 feet? 60
is
by
35 meters?
18 meters.
So then what's 35 times 3? Or it's 3.3
3.5.
technically. Is it 3.5?
So. Or maybe
I don't do numbers. I do calculators.
Should be a 105.
105. Yeah.
Oh, even bigger.
Good work, mate. So what was the first one? 40?
60.
Okay.
60 by 100.
60 by 100. Huh?
115.
We're getting real technical up in here. Not that anybody cares. So there's a really big tent. And the bride and groom wanted all white. Everything white. Like, there was like any pop of greenery was spray painted white. We flew in what would be, I don't know. We're not going to make you do any more math, Ryerson, but the entire tent, we flew in what's called event carpet. And it's almost just like a thin felt. Flew it in out of Toronto and floored the entire tent. Especially event rentals, not SCR, came in and they draped the entire thing, the entire roof line, the entire perimeter of it, chandelier, like everything, right? So there was just the actual structure itself, like to get the structure and skin the tent and everything else. I think that was like a full day.
Yep.
Right?
It was one full, I think it might have even been 2 days.
Could have been.
I think we set up all the tents.
Yeah.
And then we came back in and we did the liner, the sides.
Yep.
The carpet went down that day.
Yep.
Stage came in.
Yep.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
It was a progression.
And I find at this wedding, like, the scope is crazy. The tent, there is also another entranceway tent. And then you had
the pre-entry.
Which was a clear top, clear span. I think it was 6 by 5 meters. And
not doing the math for you
we're
on
not
that
doing
one?
math there. It's a small little entryway. Small. Chandeliers hanging around couch. On that couch, you have Fabulosity just orchids everywhere,
Blew
flowing
up.
Oh my goodness.
Blew it up.
It was sheer luxury.
Yeah.
I would say.
Pure, like truly.
Pure.
Yeah. 100%.
And the groom, he was awesome. I remember him being so
great.
involved.
Yes.
Wasn't he involved?
Completely. And nothing against grooms who aren't, but like it's very seldom. And
Yes.
I need to be very clear. Nothing against it being all the bride's thing.
Right.
Or the groom's thing.
Yep.
It's somebody's thing,
Yes.
right? Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither of them, and whatever. But he was so in it,
He was
which
so
I
in
loved.
it. Do you remember when he came into the tent at first?
Yeah.
And we were setting up the tables, and we had all the
God,
the
what are you
walls
gonna
were
say?
solid. And
yeah.
then we had draped them all, and he
Yeah.
came in, and there was too much light for you
Yes.
to get the overall feel of an
Yeah.
all white wedding.
Yes.
Do you remember what he did?
Yeah, he went and got a friend of his had I think it was chloroplast.
You got it.
Yeah, and he came in. So like you see this drape, you can kind of see how it's sheer, right?
Yeah.
He came and brought chloroplast in, like
2 layers.
60 by 115. Like
He got this overnight. He got this
overnight.
overnight.
Like who? It's always amazing to me. Of like,
Yeah.
I know a guy. Like those situations are my favorite. Like I know a guy. Like, he'll bring it in. I'm like,
But
okay.
his dedication was unreal. He was the
Unbelievable.
one
Yeah.
that set it all up. He
Yeah.
wanted it. He made it happen. He
Yep.
went in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember helping him a little bit, and
Yeah.
same with you.
Yeah.
You had a lot of other things to
It was
deal with.
crazy.
But yeah,
but it made such a difference.
And
it was
difference.
because it was almost like two-tone, because the roof line, like where the A-frame meets the like 8-foot perimeter of like the actual sidewalls. So the top of the tent was solid, and like it
Yeah.
almost took on like a gray shade. But then as soon as the walls came in, it was not clear, but like it was sheer.
Right.
And so there's a lot of light filtering in, and that was a no-no for him. And so he brought that in, and it matched. Like it was great call. Long story short, great
Absolutely
call.
great
Like,
call. But
100%.
it was like, I just want to give them all the layers of the
Yeah.
complexity of this wedding, because there's
was
so
so
much a
much.
planner can be hit with on day
Yes.
of. And these are big things.
Yeah.
This
and
is
we
not-
haven't even got to the crazy part.
I know.
Let's get there. So tent goes up.
Tent goes up.
All the staging goes in. The carpet gets rolled out. We are now
is-
installing in surgical booties.
Yes, and which is hard because people don't I mean, in Edmonton, Alberta, there's
Insanity.
not that many weddings that we have white carpet everywhere. So as much as you can,
for good reason.
yeah, but as much as you can kind of like see what would happen, it's
Yeah.
hard to stop everyone. I remember it was being hard for you to like lock the doors,
Completely.
letting everyone. And these are installers. This is not guests. These are
100%.
vendors are coming in and they're not realizing. That it's a white carpet and they have
Yeah.
shoes on. So like
Yeah.
that is a challenge in itself to keep this
Every
white carpet
freaking
white.
door entry, there was a bucket of surgical booties. Like I remember I caught one person, I just was like, get your booties on. Like, do you have the money to replace this? Anyway, so the carpet goes in, the chandeliers are up, everything's good. And we start building this all out. So now let's say it's Friday. We're doing the rehearsal. Everything is about 90% set. All the finishing touches are going to go in with the remaining florals and everything else on the Saturday morning. But there's this thing called weather. And
Weather plays I mean, she had a tent, everyone. She had a tent.
I can't.
So just for scope, I believe what did the floor cost the couple? From Toronto.
Just under 25K, I think.
So that is crazy. And we're in Alberta. Weather is
A thing.
apparently. And the day
Just
of the
this little
wedding,
storm.
Joelle.
The little
what
storm
happened?
went through on Friday night. Just a little bitty one, or so it seemed from my house. So I get on site. I gotta rearrange a little bit. I get on site on Saturday morning, fully aware of like there being a little bit of a storm. No problem. It's all good.
We can handle that.
That's doable. I get on site, naturally take my shoes off. I'm going barefoot and get into the tent. And I so vividly remember as this like physical experience of like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And being like, yeah, no worries.
And your heart just
little
sinks.
moisture, no problem. And then I like come around the corner and I'm looking like down the tent. And I see what feels like pools of water. This tent is under 2 inches of water. It is Saturday morning.
Panic? I'd say.
Put lightly, because what happens next was like the most, when I say I became a planner, like I mean it. So what ended up happening is I think it was like 7:00 in the morning. I got on site. It was the first one there, saw the water. So quick math says there's no stores open 7:00 in the morning on Saturday, right? I remember making, I think it was 18 or 19 phone calls that morning, calling vac trucks to be like, whoever can get their butt out here faster has the contract. I don't care what it takes. Get out here. I had a conversation with the groom's dad and the groom himself. They were like, yeah, figure it out. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Which is like shameless plug right now. Like, that's why you have a planner.
Is it? But like, could
Period.
you? Well said.
Oh, so anyway, so I get on the phone. Shout out to Alberta Carpet Cleaning Company, because I believe his name was Mark, and I should go back and bless him. He had a Southern accent, just an absolute pearl of a human. Huge save. Came in, vacked it all out. As you all know, there's vac truck sounds that go zzz, right? So I remember like ceremony's about to go down, and like Joelle, 6'2", jumping, being like, Mark, shut it down. Ceremony goes, they're walking down the aisle. Go, Mark, go. Like, it was just insane. And so he originally wanted to get out there, and he's like, all right, Joelle, we're gonna move all the tables, and we're gonna move everything to the side, like that cute little Southern accent, right? And I was like, Mark, I said, I have literally 4 hours to get this sorted. You get in there and get the hell out as fast as you can, because this is happening. Yeah. What also wasn't helpful was the fact that I think it was like a 28-degree day.
You know what? I forgot about that, how hot that was.
So we had a mini sauna. Yeah. That's purely what it was. It was so hot. And there was, again, like, after how many weddings and events we do, we still learn something every single time. And it gets to that point where you're like, okay, I feel like I've got, dug all the trenches, got all the T-shirts. And then you learn this happens new. And you're like,
all right,
we'll add that to the repertoire of lessons, right? So
you had all the weather.
We got all of it.
You got sunshine. You got
which was
rain.
Great.
You got wind. It was windy.
Yeah,
it was windy.
Thank God, because we had some kind of air movement. But then the next move, because it was so hot, so you've got this wet floor, you've got this fully draped tent, you have 28 degrees. Like, it is so bloody hot in here. Yeah. And for me, I'm trying to think from like a guest perspective, like they're coming out of pure heat into shaded heat. Like, this is, it was so tricky. So then the next call was, I think it was Sunbelt and Special Event Rentals we brought in floor dryers, we brought in dehumidifiers, like just the sheer logistics of dealing with that wet floor was a whole thing in and of itself, but we did it. It was, I will be completely transparent. It was not great, but we did everything that we could on that day for what we were able to pull together. And they were so happy. They were so happy. Everything happened, but it was just a little toasty.
I just am so thankful they had you.
Me too.
They had you, and you made it. I can't express enough to couples that can work a planner into their budget how helpful it is to not be bugged on a day that you should be having the best day of your life, and not worrying about this. Could you imagine that no one was there? And
like, what would have happened?
What would have happened?
There's moments where I think about that too, where I'm like, if we weren't there, truly, what would have happened?
Absolutely. Do you think that there's two types of couples? Couples that want a head table, that they're on the stage, they're kind of front and center, they are the star of the show.
Yeah.
And then I find there is another couple, or other couples really just don't love that. They want to be immersed in their floor plan. They want to be surrounded by guests. They don't want to be center of attention or anything like that. So I think, how do you kind of what do you think about head tables?
Well, okay, so let's just take 10 steps back for 1 second. Tell me what you think the actual like purpose of a head table is. And there's no right or wrong answer. Like what's the purpose of a head table?
Well, kind of like I just described the first couple.
Yeah.
I do think it is a way to display yourselves. I think when you're having all of your guests want to see you, whether they want to see you eat or they just want you to be on display. And I think it's a special, I think some couples think of it as a special way to showcase their love or their marriage or their unity or whatever. And I think it goes back to tradition as well. I think 100%. Weddings have a head table. Yeah. And that's kind of the norm, is a head table is always there. Yeah. There's always this focal point on the bride and groom somehow. So that's what I think a head table is or means. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally fair. I think they're stupid. That's going to be so
not blunt at all.
So triggering
no,
for some
but
people. I just think, like, when I think about the head table, and like, do not get me wrong, I think you can make head tables like visually so beautiful. Like they are a focal point of the space. But because there's a lot of the times that I go back about, some of the things that we just do as planners because it's just what we do. Right. Like sometimes we don't have a reason for them. We just do it because that's what everybody's done before. Right. So when I think of a head table, I'm like, why are we putting people on display to eat their dinner? Right. Like, okay. So point number 1. And then point number 2 is, for me, like the only purpose of a head table is to like showcase like people reacting during speeches.
Very true. Right?
Yeah. So like, I don't know about you, but like for me, when I get a couple who's like, yeah, we're like down to like not do a head table, but like some variation of it. I'm like, I have got you. I think the beautiful thing about your wedding meal is I like everybody else gets to share a conversation like as a guest. Like you get to eat the meal and just talk as you do at your kitchen table. Why can't the head table or the wedding party do the exact same? It just seems a little not off, but just like peculiar. And so I think it's just so fun to be able to reincorporate them in the floor plan. And when we do that, couples usually go, but like, where do we sit for the speeches? Like what? Like it's such a new concept, and it really is catching speed only as of late. And I think COVID probably just like kind of shoved that trend. Maybe, would you say it's a trend? Yeah. I think when they're willing to play with that, like, for example, my wedding, we sat in a swing. We literally sat in a full-blown swing for speeches. We didn't do a head table, the whole 9 yards. I feel like I might have talked about that already.
It's okay. Keep going.
Okay. And so, sorry. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
The uniqueness, I think.
It's just so different.
Yeah, I think it is different. And I think it also is based on a couple's comfort level. Yeah. And I think we want to make couples feel comfortable, whether it is them being on display or
100%.
We want them, or you want them, to walk into a space and sit down and be like, okay, I'm not on display. Because I think some couples would have anxiety about a lot of things.
100%.
It is nerve-wracking. It is.
You're on the freaking stage. You're under the spotlight.
Exactly.
Everything, all eyes are on you as you cut into your roast beef.
Absolutely. So I feel like head tables are a topic that I think should be talked about. I think that the styles that are come up, there's basic styles, like you have a sweetheart table, you have king's table, you have a...
let's talk about the styles of of head tables.
Yeah. Ready, go.
Rapid fire. Yep. Sweetheart table.
Half round, bride and groom sit behind. They're usually at like a love seat or a different type of chair, but it's just bride and groom. Done.
King's head table.
King's head table, this is one of my favorites, and it does incorporate into your floor plan. So you get that more living room aspect or conversational head table like you were just talking about. But it's one long rack, usually wider, and bridal parties on either side, and you guys are at the head of the table.
100%. Are there any other kinds?
I think the traditional one is
head table.
You sit on one side, you're looking at your guests. You usually have, you guys are center of attention. Yeah. Everyone is watching you and everything you do.
Totally.
Eating, speeches.
I feel like there's only 3 kinds.
There's 3 kinds, but you
You can do them all in different
Yeah.
Oh, what about the one where you flank the dance floor? Like where you split up
U?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very traditional too, but
Yeah.
it's just adding a twist on the tradition. So
Yeah.
you're just, instead of going one long table, you're doing a U shape and you kind of like, you're looking at the dance floor.
100%. And you can do it with like your wedding party or your family sitting there too.
Yeah.
Right?
A good thing about, I want to go back to the King's table, is that some people, which I kind of understand.
Yeah.
The bride and groom and all the bridal party, their spouses can sit at the table too. So they're not
that's the
breaking
best
up.
part.
So it's
Yes.
bride, groom. It's not just your bridal party. It is their partners as well.
Yep.
So I quite like that. I also like the traditional where you seat on either side. So you kind of have your little sweetheart table in the middle, bride and groom. And then on the outer side, you have, your bridal party sitting on both sides, or again, incorporating the bridal party spouses.
100%. Or like sitting with grandpa.
Yeah.
I'm also like a huge fan of that. I feel like beating a dead horse with the phrase of like, let's not do traditional. But I think about the idea of like removing your wedding party, because I love them dearly, but like you've put in your shift. You're good, right? Like go chill out, have dinner, have a cocktail. What if you sat with your family? What if you shared your dinner on your wedding day in the same day, or in the same way that you do at home with grandma and grandpa, with your mom and dad, with your siblings? Like, I think once you fling open that door of like a non-traditional head table, I think it becomes really cool how clients all of a sudden they're like, well, what if I like it, like it's all these what ifs. All these different scenarios come up, and they're all of a sudden glowing about it. Like, oh my God, it's one of those things where, you give them the idea and then you kind of watch them run with it, which I think is really cool, because then they also feel like they're a part of this like non-traditional vibe.
And a lot of couples need that.
100%.
They are unique. Everyone is unique, I would say. So I love the twist on all these different head tables you're seeing nowadays.
Yeah.
Another table that I also love to play with is family tables. So I personally, when building a floor plan, especially when and you can kind of relate, I think, but when a couple comes in and their mom and dad are here, you can kind of get a sense of, can you speak to that? How special sometimes family tables could be, or they can be a statement piece. They can be different.
I think like just the pure placements, like some people always ask like, where do we put our family? I'm like, right by the head table. Like they want to see the tears crawling down your face when so-and-so makes a speech, or they just like your parent, the proudest people in the room are your parents. Like, please put them right beside you. Right. Like and
then it's easy access to you and your podium.
100%. Yeah. So, and you know what, now that I think about it though, like I haven't really done anything like super crazy unique, or like have the family tables be set apart. Well, ask me on a date first. Excuse you.
Technical difficulties.
That is a great blooper. You're welcome. Are you gonna stay? Just please hold. You're good. Hi, everybody. Meet Ryerson. This is our sound guy. I think we're good.
Marketing technician.
Now, what was I saying before? I just got a little.
That you really haven't done anything with family tables.
It's just never been
a thing.
I've never even thought about that. See, this is the cool part, right? Like you have these conversations and then you have new ideas. Like I've never thought of like making the family table different. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Here for all
Coming
the ideas.
soon.
But I think it is important. It depends on, how close you are with your family and how involved you want them. But sometimes it does mean the extra mile to the people closest to you that they do have maybe a more comfortable seat.
Yeah.
Or a bigger table. Or these little touches. It doesn't have to be completely different, but just little special touches that, hey, I thought of you, Mom and Dad. Hey, I thought of you, Uncle Pete.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I think family tables can definitely just personalize
like a
wedding.
to them.
Yeah.
Just a little like, hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah. And then they're close
so
and they're
here.
they're locked in. They're ready to watch you and have a magical day. So I think
it makes sense.
Yeah, family
totally
tables
makes sense.
Should be important. Or I think in the
second to the head table.
Second to the head table. But in the right cases, I think they can be a little bit of a statement piece.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Head tables are easy, but not.
They're not. Yeah. Like
there's a sense of ease to them because
Yes.
of the tradition. And there's always a head table or a focal point at a wedding.
Totally.
Even in different religions, it might not be a head table, but it might be a sofa. All these things, the focal point is all.
There's usually and that's the cool part about floor plans is like there's usually one, sometimes two big focal moments, like where you like the attention is deliberately being drawn to XYZ or you know what I mean?
Totally.
And that's the fun part. So whether it's the head table or the bar or whatever, you can like, it's just, it all makes sense at the end.
And I think with all these like statement pieces that you're talking about, which is, I'm going to roll into another statement piece, but
Oh, sure.
consistency is quite,
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Oh man. And
it's like how do you bring the wood touches here and into that, into
Yes.
this? Just little touches. It doesn't have to be on point or all matching or all.
And then in walks interior design into your wedding.
Exactly.
Right? Like I think that's one thing that couples struggle with so fiercely is, how does it make sense? And I mean, like the decor and design portion is like, oh, we could go off. That's a whole other conversation we will come back to.
Votives.
Yeah.
And always add more candlelight, more votives, more votives, more votives, more votives.
More.
I also just stumbled all over my words there. So, but the more
get it.
votives,
More
the better.
candles. We got it.
Yeah, candles.
But it's just so hard for them to try and like pull it all together, right?
Right.
With textures, with colors, with it's to make it all cohesive and make sense aesthetically is a really difficult challenge when you're not doing this on the daily or you don't have a lick of creative
Like
what's the word? Creative
mind
juice.
or
juice, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They struggle with that. Yeah.
And that's where you would come in.
You're welcome.
To run your bill up with only votives. Which leads me into my next statement piece, which I do think that you always curate so well and you always guide your couples into doing it, especially with tented weddings. Yeah. Entrances.
Oh, sure. Yep.
I mean, one that sticks out in my mind is you had like a walkway into the tent. I think it was like barnwood panels or something, but the seating chart was hung on there. There were some photos. It was just so personalized. Yeah. And it created that what's inside. I want a
sneaky peeky.
Yeah. But that also goes back to like the cohesive design plan.
100%.
But let's
front entries.
Or
entryways in general, I suppose. I think, okay, so born and raised on the farm.
Yep.
Cattle. Yep. Go with me for a second.
I'm going. I also was raised on the farm. I know exactly what you mean.
Largest lie
Cattle.
you've ever told in your life. What's a cow? Cattle. You put the grain out. They know exactly where they're going. Why? Because that's where, like, they can smell it, they can see it, all the things, right? And as silly as it sounds, stay with me, but like people are kind of the same way. Like when you give them a focal point to follow or some type of like visual piece, whatever it may be, they will naturally gravitate that way. And the people will follow, right? So I think entrances, especially with tents, can be really important because, for example, like some of the tents, some tents you never have walls on. I've only done it once in my life. I hope to do it again because that was epic. But Mother Nature, we try and have a conversation. It doesn't always work out. But sometimes all the walls are off, right? So where's the entrance? Well, if I'm not intentional about this, then I have a guest going in behind the bar. We can't have that, right? So to create that focal point, so speaking to that wedding that you're thinking of or that you just mentioned, I think it was windbreak fences that we used, and it was outside of the tent as the pre-entry, right? So the windbreak fences, the wooden panels, whatever you want to call them, that we just bent some rebar, staked them into the ground so that it'd stand upright regardless of Mother Nature's plans. We used like old vintage, I just thrifted frames. We spray painted them. We had that wall as the seating chart. Visually stunning. I just chopped up some like little blocks and we put like hurricane vases on it. So it almost acted like as a mini sconce, right? All in between these, and it was stunning. Like it was so beautiful.
You guys have to check out our SER Instagram or even Joelle's page, but you will find the photo at nighttime.
It's so
with it just lit
gorgeous.
It honestly
and you got to reference that photo when we're doing that. Yeah, it was so good.
It's pretty epic, and I think there is an importance to it, which I kind of want to ask this question. I mean, I was like this, and I know other brides are also like this.
I'm sure.
How do you, in a tent wedding, okay?
Oh boy.
refrain the guests from coming in and putting their stuff on the chairs? Because that does get to people, Joelle. It does. And how do you stop, auntie and uncle from, draping their coat pocket on the back of your chair? Like how you can't, I don't find there's a good way.
Okay.
That's why you hire a wedding planner. She'll hide it all for you.
First and foremost, what I want you to do is I want you to hit pause, and then I want you to replay this for everybody you invited to your wedding. This is the hardest thing.
But couples do want that.
What?
That they don't want anyone in the space.
I don't want.
You don't want.
What's that like one TikTok where the guy runs around and he's like, I don't want it to look like anybody's lived here. It needs, and I'm like, oh my God.
But there is an importance to that. You want the grand entrance to be grand.
Yes, exactly.
You want all the guests to place their jackets on the table at once. The purses on the
Don't
chairs.
come in Aunt Betty. Right. You just keep your crocheted blanket.
But how do you manage that on site when you're running around? Yeah, you pull them off.
I get one of our team members to pull them off politely, and then we will literally place them back. Because the biggest thing for me is just the photos, right? If that photographer's coming in and we've done this bang up job of this beautiful tent, I sure as hell don't want that
100%
pink jacket in a white, what I mean?
It happens everywhere. It happens everywhere.
All the time. Yep. Ruins me every single time, and I just like play. What are you doing? What are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be here yet. Just come on over here. Come get you.
So that's a true fact. That is like true. Like
it does makes our blood boil.
Yeah, but there are ways around it. Hire a planner.
100%.
And
thank you for the shameless plug there again. Finger guns.
So entranceways. We love them. It gives them direction, lets them know where to go, and it's visually beautiful. But it doesn't. I find you can also do a great entrance at a venue.
Yep.
It's not just a tented wedding, and I don't think it doesn't need to be elaborate to look intentional or to look jaw dropping. Does that make sense?
100%.
It doesn't have to be everything, but it does need to be something.
Naturally, people always want to use tables at entryways too, which is fine. But I'm like, what if you use cocktail tables? Like, what if you use I love thrifting and I love collecting like old vintage stuff. So like those, not an armoire, but like it's like a dresser with like the mirror, like using furniture pieces instead of just like a table and a linen. Again, nothing against the table and linen, but it just adds so much more visual interest. Yeah. Doesn't fall flat. And it catches your eye of where you should walk in, right? Yeah. When I'm talking about a tent wedding, I think it does capture your eye. And if it's a cohesive look, it gives you a little bit of a glimpse of experience of what is to come after the ceremony. Yeah. I've baited you once again. Come on in. So we should kind of wrap this episode up. I feel like we've been chatting for so long, and I'm so happy about this chat because I think couples and industry partners are really going to listen in and kind of relate to everything we talked about today. Well, we hope so. I want to go back to, I think, the vendor planner relationship. I think once you create that relationship, you get a little bit more pull. You get a little bit more, I want to try this. How do we do it? And we say, let's think about it. It kind of brings me back to last summer when you wanted to hang something between the two poles. Yes. I immediately said no. Yeah. Do you remember that? I was like, no, thank you. So and then I walked myself into Efren's office and was like, exactly. Hey. And we did it. So Kaitlyn said, no, I'm going to need you to say yes. Okay. But it's things like that really, I think, adds trust in a relationship. Other planners and vendors can relate that relationship does. It's a collaboration portion. Absolutely. Yeah. And then that goes back into like just the couples being more confident in you and us executing this event that you've planned. Completely. And with that relationship comes expectations, and we just know We get it.
We get it.
Yeah. Like we almost like don't need words sometimes.
No, and I think lots.
Have you had that
don't be
moment
afraid
with
to
me?
ask.
Have you ever had that moment with me where you like look at me and you're like, I know exactly what she's thinking
A
right
lot
now?
of the times, yes.
Do you really?
Yeah, and even on the phone. Do you know? That's why we cut. When we're on the phone, we cut each other off.
Now
all the
it's
time.
like we're in a full blown relationship. We finish each other's sentences.
I've been trying to pass her off to different sales reps for the last year.
And
She keeps
I'm
coming
still
back.
here. Hi, can I speak to Kaitlyn, please? She's busy. No, she's not. Just tell her it's Joelle and it's fine.
I am busy. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I think that the experience that you create, Joelle, is why people go to you. I think the non-traditional aspect, I think the colorful, I think pushing boundaries, I think thinking outside the box, and the ability to fail.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think is
I love that
really,
so much.
Is really, it's okay. So I guess don't be afraid. You were there. You can pick it back up.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the ability to fail, you'll never get better. You'll never have challenges and experiences.
You don't
like
get to push your own boundaries, right? I so love that. You don't have to, you never fail. Like to say that I have failed would be
I'm like the next Oprah Winfrey.
Okay. Oh, Ryerson, what is happening?
Joelle really likes Ryerson.
No.
You're flirting with him.
I keep referencing back because I'm like, somebody
He's not
get on
even
my
the
team to
podcast.
humble this chick out.
Anyways,
But I love that with the fail. I think that's one really cool part is it's like, you'll never know unless you do.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And then the next bride comes and wants that and you get your own spin on it and it just keeps getting better and better.
Remember the time you did this and you're like, you want to try it again?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
So I think that that is one of the reasons why you're so successful here in Edmonton as a planner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I so appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Just
She's blushing.
Now,
Now she's flirting with me.
My one feeling is having a whole feel over here.
Okay,
I'm
going to wrap up.
Okay.
I want to hear your tough questions for me because I'm very intrigued what that's going to be. But I want to end with, what would you say your favorite style of tent is, Joelle?
Favorite style of tent? And like initially I would say clearspan or like a clearspan.
You're so different.
I'm not done.
Okay,
Let
continue.
me finish. I would, Ryerson, why are you looking at me like that? Pole tent. I'm going to say a pole tent.
I think that's the right answer. I think there's something quite magical about a pole
They're
tent.
so beautiful.
You can be so far away from the venue, see the peak, you get closer and closer, and just like that excitement builds up.
Clearspans are beautiful, but like structurally, they just look like another building. Whereas the pole tent, it's like something's going down.
Absolutely, and nothing against a clearspan.
Yeah.
There is endless options with a clearspan.
100%.
You can
with all of them, really.
Yes, but a clearspan's more of a venue type structure.
Yes.
A pole tent, if you want a tented wedding,
you're getting a pole tent.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I love that answer.
My water.
Yes. Okay, let's dive into the questions you have for me. You're making me nervous. Am I
ready?
Can I answer them correctly?
Are we chopping? Are we chopping the?
Chop.
Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. And then after our questions, I'll just say goodbye to our listeners.
Are you guys ready for this?
Oh my God.
So enough of you asking me questions.
Yes, ask me away.
We have prepared a few questions for Kaitlyn to kind of put you on the spot.
I love being put on the spot.
Do you see her having a visceral reaction right now?
Yeah, and I am.
Okay.
Getting hot and bothered over here.
Here at the Special Event Rentals podcast, we are going to have some sports trivia.
Because that's right up my alley. Right up my alley. I just love
Kaitlyn,
that.
tell me how excited you are for this right now.
This is the time where Brent needs to call in. I'm going to have like a lifeline. Yeah. And he will answer all the questions on my behalf.
What are the 50-50?
What is that even? What is that game show?
Or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh,
Come on, Regis Philbin. Like
you get
50-50. Like you.
This is right, I think.
No.
Oh no, is it?
I think it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because you get the three options of like eliminating an answer, the 50-50, and the call a friend.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
You don't get any of those.
Okay. Great.
This is our
Wonderful.
show.
It's great. Love it.
Okay,
go.
question number 1. Are you ready?
No.
Moving on.
But, yeah.
Name 2 hockey players on the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, this is super easy.
Oh, wow.
Go off,
Connor
sister.
McDavid.
Oh, excellent.
Something dry, subtle. Subtle.
Dry subtle. Did everybody catch
Don't
that?
know,
Dry
but
subtle.
do I get a point for that? That's a pretty good point.
Absolutely. You get 0.5 of
That's not bad. I don't know the first name, but
dry something dry subtle.
well, I don't know. So I was being cautious. I don't want him to be listening in, Joelle.
Oh, Brent is going to be so embarrassed. Ryerson, your turn. You go.
Okay, so I've got one that if you're on your phone, if you're on social media, you should know this one.
'Kay.
It popped up in the news recently. So what retired sports athlete
Oh,
was
this is
just in a
deep.
celebrity roast show? Do you know those
A
shows?
celebrity what?
Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Kaitlyn.
Can I tell you why I know that? Because Kim Kardashian was also there roasting him. That's the only reason,
Kaitlyn,
Joelle.
it would have
Thank
been
you.
better if you just left it at Tom Brady.
I like Kim K. They booed her. I don't understand
They booed her
why.
hard, apparently.
She took it well, though.
I didn't. I haven't actually even watched it.
She took it real well.
Apparently, Netflix totally edited that part out.
Well,
apparently,
TikTok did it.
supposedly.
Okay, next question.
Okay. I only had one prepared in my head, so let me think of a second one. What? Just sticking with the theme of football, what is the position name of the player who throws the ball for the play? I don't know that. I like that.
Quarterback.
Wow.
I can't
Killing
right
it.
now.
Killing
She had to
it.
have done some studying.
Sure did.
I'm
'Cause I
not
knew the
sure
direct-
if I'm okay. I'm like
just not
Ryerson.
asking-
Go send it now.
You
Give
want
her.
one
Yeah.
hard one?
Yeah.
Okay, this one will stop.
This is
Please
where
let
you'll
it.
fail. This is where you'll fail.
Fall on your face.
And this might be a little sus. Okay, how many sports play with balls?
Okay.
Gold. This is gold.
Look, like
Okay, name them. Go. Ready?
number.
Sports you play with
football, soccer, baseball.
Hold on. Specify ball.
I'm on the right.
A
I'm
round
right on the path.
sphere. Okay, round sphere.
So is
Sphere.
that a football?
You tell me.
Okay, so I'm gonna say football,
Wrong.
baseball,
Yes.
soccer,
Excellent.
tennis,
Sure.
with badminton.
But when you play badminton,
Little
with,
bird. It's kind of round.
Is a-
It's little. No. Okay. Pickleball. That's pretty good, eh?
Can you give me 2 more?
There's 2 more.
No, there's plenty more, but can you give me 2
Oh,
more?
basketball. Basketball.
High number.
Excellent. Yep. 5. Give me 1 more.
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball, the sport.
Well done, Kaitlyn.
Well,
Do you want to know the actual number?
yes, I do.
I'm guessing there's 20 plus.
What's your guess?
28.
Lower. It's 17.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking golf,
Yeah.
ping pong, volleyball,
Bowling. Is that a
bowling. Yeah, bowling I think is a sport. Pickleball was actually a really good one. Yeah, that was a really
Again,
good
reality TV. Thank you.
spike ball is a sport now?
one. Everybody
probably.
is.
Yep.
Everybody is. If you, if you watch Slice, that is Kaitlyn's sports
Center
education.
keeps me updated at all times.
Yeah.
I would consider
can't.
pickleball a trend.
It's true.
Amongst the
I was
rich.
just in Arizona, and there's a whole pickleball in
It is.
Target.
It's
It's a whole.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyways, thank you so much,
This has
Joelle.
been great.
Thank you.
So fun.
We cannot wait to have you back. We
Can't
cannot wait
wait.
to air this episode. And
There's gonna be so many good bloopers. I'm really stoked for the blooper reel.
and thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Special Event Rental Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to never miss an episode.